think I am live. Hey guys, it's Dan here. It's Friday, it's 11 a.m., so that means it's time for mindfulness slash meditation time. I hope you're all doing really well. I've got something a little bit different prepared for today, so let's see how it goes. It should be interesting. You can see my lovely background that kind of shows the seven chakras that are talked about in a lot of Eastern traditions. I've also got some text that you're going to be seeing on the screen while I'm doing this. So we'll see if all the technical stuff comes out right. I'm hoping it does. But either way, it should be some, a little bit of fun. Last week, I gave a little bit of info on mindfulness, and I kept it really short and simple. Today, I'm going to talk more about a specific type of mindfulness, which is meditation. And meditation can be a little scary for people sometimes, but there's really not that much to it. There's you can kind of tailor it to the way you want it to be, which is really nice. So I'm going to go over a few types of meditation and some tips and little hints for doing meditation. So yeah, let's just see where it goes. First off, the first thing I wanted to do was actually define what meditation is. And the Cambridge Dictionary defines meditation as the act of giving your attention to only one thing, either as a religious activity or a way of becoming calm and relaxed, or a serious thought or study or the product of this activity. So that's kind of a little interesting blur, but what does that really mean? The good thing is it can kind of mean many different things to many different people. But yeah, let me see where I wanted to go next. So, okay, so like I mentioned, there's many different types of meditation. So, one way it's kind of looked at is meditation can kind of be the training of your mind, kind of similar to how sports and fitness is an approach to train your body. And there's many different techniques that exist. It's funny, in Buddhist tradition, they look at the word meditation kind of like how we look at sports in this country. It's it's like a family of activities. That's kind of the best way I can put it. It's really difficult for beginners to just sit there and try not to think of anything. And that's not really possible anyway. It's I don't know how anyone could just sit with an empty mind. That just doesn't make sense to me. But sorry, I was just reading something on here. There are several different approaches that you can take to meditation. So I'm going to kind of just go over a couple of simple ones here, give a little basics about it, and then some tips on how to actually go through it. But the first one I wanted to talk about is concentration meditation. So let me pull up my little thing here. I'm trying to play around with actually having fonts and things on the screen. So there we go. Concentration meditation. Okay, this involves in focusing on a single point. This could entail following your breath, repeating a single word or a mantra. I know I briefly spoke about that last week. You could stare at a candle flame, listening to a repetitive gong or a drum beat. You could count beads. Focusing the mind is challenging. So for a beginner, you might want to just try for a couple minutes a day and then work up to longer times. In this form of medication, you're refocusing your awareness on the object that you're focusing on, and then you just try to refocus that when you catch your mind wandering. Rather than, every time you think of a random thought, you kind of keep, instead of going down that rabbit hole of just thinking more and more and more into that, you just bring that awareness back to whatever you're focusing on. For me, that's generally, my breathing. Or I think I mentioned in the past, sometimes I think of myself as swinging on a swing set, so I kind of just visualize that, just going back and forth. Um, so that's that. The second one I was going to bring up is mindfulness meditation, which we kind of talked a little bit about last week. Let's see. So, mindfulness meditation encourages the practitioner to observe wandering thoughts as they drift through the mind. It's not the intention is not to get involved with the thoughts or to judge them, but just be aware of them and let them pass as you do. Through mindfulness meditation, you can see how your thoughts and feelings tend to move in particular patterns. Over a time, you can become more aware of these patterns, and your tendency to quickly judge them. You could, by doing this, you can easier look at a situation and be able to experience it as good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. And you get more inner balance, as you really get into this. Some schools of meditation, they have students practice a combination of these two types, concentration and mindfulness. Many disciples call for stillness to a greater or lesser degree, depending on the teacher. So, I know in one of the forms that I practice, that's a big part of me, is to sit still. Like, I try not to move at all. And that can be difficult, especially if you have an itch on the nose, or, you kind of get like that feeling that you want to move something. So I struggle with that one sometimes, but I try to make that a big part of what I do. Those are just a couple of meditation techniques, though. There are many others. I'm going to put up a little thing on the screen in a sec. Alright, here we go. It might be kind of hard to read some of these, but let's see. We've got Tai Chi, Qigong, walking meditation, cultivation of compassion, which is a Buddhist monk tradition, and transcendental meditation. So, the cultivation of compassion one is really interesting. I wasn't really familiar with that one, but I guess that's where these Buddhist monks focus on cultivation of compassion. This involves envisioning negative events that they've experienced and then recast them in a positive light by transforming them through compassion. That I just read those words and I really don't even know what it means, but it just sounds like like a reframing, almost like a DBT, dialectical behavior therapy skill, almost, where you reframe something negative into something positive. Those other techniques I mentioned are what known as moving meditation. So Tai Chi, I'm not real familiar with, but I think that's a lot of like hand movements and body movements. Qigong, as far as I know, has to do with like energy work, moving parts of the energy around your body. Walking meditation, that's pretty self-explanatory. The last one I mentioned was the transcendental meditation. That has a lot to do with getting your own mantra. And the trouble with transcendental meditation is, unless you're an actual like student of it, it's hard to really know what it entails, because they keep that really like close to their chest. There's a way that you get your own mantra, but I think you have to have like a teacher for that to happen. I don't think it's something where you can just read books and then just get everything you need to know. So that's pretty interesting. Relaxation may not be the goal of meditation, but it is often the result. I was reading about this study that was done at Harvard called the relaxation response, and they were conducting research on people who practice transcendental meditation. Um, and this is in his words now. This doctor Herbert Benson, he said, an opposite involuntary response that causes a reduction in the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, well that's a mouthful. But basically, what it's saying is by practicing this stuff, there are definitely positive results from it. I actually have a list here of a lot of the benefits of meditation. So just give me a second and I will fire those up. Okay. All right, here we go. So, lower blood pressure, improve blood circulation, lower heart rate, less perspiration, slower respiratory rate, less anxiety, lower blood cortisol levels, more feelings of well-being, less stress, and deeper relaxation. So that's quite a lot of benefits. Very much so. So, to get to the point where probably you'd be most interested in is, well, how do you meditate? So I pulled up here just a little simple meditation for beginners thing. I'll have some more, some more tips and stuff towards the end, but this is just kind of a simplified thing that you could start with. Did I? Okay. Pull that down real quick. All right, so this little exercise is just first step: sit and lie sit or lie comfortably. You may even want to invest in a meditation chair or cushion. Totally up to you. I find I like to sit in the recliner when I meditate, but it's like a double wide love seat. So I usually will get a pillow and put under my other arm since I don't have the benefit of the other armrest. So the second step would be to close your eyes. You could use a cooling eye mask or a restorative eye pillow if you choose to, but you don't need to. I generally don't. Third step is to make no effort to control your breath. Just breathe naturally. And the fourth step is to just focus your attention on the breath and how it moves through your body with each inhalation and exhalation. Notice the movement of your body as you breathe. Notice your chest, how it rises, your shoulders, your rib cage, and just simply focus your attention on your breath without controlling its pace or intensity. That might be kind of tough to do at first because you're thinking about it, but just try to just be as natural as possible. If your mind wanders, just bring it right back to your breath. Don't get frustrated or start judging yourself and say, "Oh, I can't do this." Just simply refocus it. That's pretty much the most simple way to do it. And the nice thing about meditation is there really is no wrong way to do it. You can really tailor it to how you want to do it. So let's see what I wanted to pull up next. Okay. Hear cats hissing in the background. All right, so here's just some tips. I put together a list of them here. I'm just going to kind of read them off. And of course, I just X'd out of it. Okay, great. Just give me 1 second. Now I hear growling and hissing in the background. That's funny. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this first thing is pretty similar to what I had just finished looking at. It says just sit for 2 minutes. It sounds and seems ridiculously easy at first because it's only 2 minutes, but that's the idea of it. Just try meditating for 2 minutes a day for 1 week. If that goes well, increase it by another 2 minutes for the next week. And just keep adding a little bit and a little bit more. And then within a couple months, you'll be at 10 minutes a day. And that's amazing. That's really helpful. If you're able to meditate for just 10 minutes a day, you'll see extremely good benefits from that. One suggestion I have is to try to do it first thing in the morning, because it's really easy to say, I'll meditate every day, and then, life gets in the way. Next thing you know, it's the afternoon, and you're like, well, I'll just do it tomorrow, and then that could turn into the next day and the next day and the next day. So if you just start off your day with it and just get it out of the way, easiest thing to do. Personally, I get myself up extra early, like sometimes as early as 4 a.m., and I get out of bed because I don't like to be in bed when I meditate, because then I usually will just fall asleep. I like to go into the recliner and put on my earbuds and listen to either meditation music or a guided meditation. But, I still sometimes fall back asleep, but that's okay. Don't get caught up in the how, just do. Most people worry about how they should sit, what cushion, that sort of stuff. That's not really important. Just sit wherever you're comfortable. It could be in a chair, it could be on the couch, it could be in your bed, wherever you're comfortable. You could sit on the ground, Indian style, or in some sort of yoga pose. Completely up to you. Especially when you're just doing it for a couple of minutes, you're probably not going to get too caught up in, what's comfortable and what's not. When you go for longer periods of time, you'll definitely want to be in a pose that is more comfortable. Check in with how you're feeling. As you first settle into your meditation session, just check to see how your body feels. What's the quality of your mind? Are you busy? Are you tired? Are you anxious? See whatever you're bringing to the session and know that it's okay. Counting breaths is another tip. When you turn your attention to your breath and you place attention on it, follow your breath through your nose all the way into your lungs. Try to count 1 as you take in your first breath, and then 2 as you breathe out. Repeat this to the count of 10, and then start again at 1. This is kind of a funny one because it just popped up on this site I was looking at, but I kind of do that when I'm meditating. Not in the same order, but I tend to count breaths, and just by accident. It wasn't like, I read that somewhere and said to do that. It was just something that I just naturally did. Come back when you wander. Your mind will wander. We are human beings, and it is impossible to think about nothing. And I'll just keep saying that over and over again. That's a certainty. And guess what? That's okay. There's no problem with that. When you notice your mind wandering, just smile and gently return back to focusing and counting your breaths. It can be frustrating at times. I know that. It's okay not to be focused, though. It happens to all of us because we're humans. This is just a practice, and there's a reason why they call it practice. You may not look at it as being good at it at the start, and that's totally okay. It's just, that's life for you. The next tip here says to develop a loving attitude. When you notice thoughts and feelings arising during meditation, look at them with a friendly attitude. See them as friends, not intruders or enemies. They're a part of you, but they're not all of you. So be friendly, especially to yourself. Don't be harsh on yourself. Don't worry that you're doing it wrong. It's not wrong. There's no perfect way to do it. There's no right way, no wrong way. It really is, you find your own way. I think Sophie just came over to say hi. Do you want to say hi, Sophie? Say hi, Sophie. Huh? Yeah, she's not feeling that. Boom, boom. Don't worry about clearing the mind. I know I mentioned this before. A lot of people think that meditation is about clearing your mind, stopping all thoughts, not thinking about anything. That's not. It can happen sometimes. I've had that experience where it happens, but I don't expect that to happen because it's very rare. And it's not the goal of meditation. You will have thoughts, and that's normal. We all do. Our brains are thought factories, as a matter of fact. We can't just shut them down. So just like we said earlier, just try to practice focusing your attention and just bring it back when your mind wanders. Stay with whatever arises. When thoughts or feelings arise, and they will, you might just try just staying with them. Which does sound a little bit, not hypocritical, but because, I just said return to your breath once you get distracted. So I'm kind of saying the opposite of that here. But it's going to depend on the situation. Because you want to avoid the feelings of like frustration and anger. So it may be helpful to at least just, let those, work through those things in the moment. Again, there's no wrong way to do it. Get to know yourself. This practice isn't just about focusing your attention. It's about learning about how your mind works. What's going on inside that mind? Sometimes I have no clue. Watching your mind water can get frustrated, but you can start to understand yourself better when you really kind of deep into, how your mind works and how you think. Become friends with yourself. Sounds kind of silly. Get to know yourself. Do the friendly attitude. Don't be so critical of yourself. You're getting to know a friend, so smile and give yourself love. Do a body scan. I'm sure that might be familiar to a lot of you, where you kind of you start, either at the bottom or the top. You just kind of go through all the muscles in your body, and you move them, and you might tighten them up and then relax them. There's many different ways to do it, but body scans are really helpful, especially when you're doing a mindfulness type of meditation. Notice the light, sounds, and energy. That's another place to put your attention on. After you've practiced with your breath for at least a week, is the light all around you? Just keep your eyes on one spot. Notice that light from the room you're in. Another day, just focus on sounds, maybe just what you're hearing. Another little activity you can do sometimes is to try to come up with, depending on what's around you, five things that each of your senses can sense. So 5 things you see, 5 things you hear. It might be tougher to do 5 scents, but maybe 2 scents. So that sort of thing. This is probably one of the biggest suggestions I have here, is to really commit yourself. Don't just say, yeah, I'll do it for a couple of days and just see how it is, because you're really not going to get anything out of it for just a couple of days. Really try to do it for a couple of months, and I promise you'll see some benefits. Another great thing is you can do this anywhere. It might be more comfortable for you to, be in a, quiet room in your house. But let's just say that you got a busy day and that's not an option. You can meditate in an office, in the park, during a commute. You could just sit anywhere and do it. It's kind of another nice thing of it. Following guided meditations is a big one too. And that's actually something that I will do probably next week, is actually do a guided meditation. And it's a lot easier than just trying to do it on your own at the start. It's nice when you have someone else's voice kind of leading it through. It kind of gets you used to the practice. So yeah, that's definitely some things that I think I'll work into this. Check in with friends. It says, you can meditate with other people. It might be awkward for some. Like personally, I prefer to be alone when I meditate, but for some people, it might be, more enjoyable to, have a group meditation. You could also find communities of people, like-minded people, and then join the communities. Especially with Facebook, there's a lot of groups and things out there, so you could find a lot of like-minded people that way. Smile when you're done. When you're finished with your couple minutes, smile. Be grateful that you had this time for yourself and that you stuck with your commitment. So that's pretty funny. Let's see. I was also saying that you showed yourself that you actually followed through with what you said you did. So give yourself on a pat in the back for that. That's really cool. So those are some tips I found from a website, and then of course I threw in some of my own stuff as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. If anybody has any suggestions for next week, let me know. I think I am going to do a guided meditation next week, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, we can get some people live to participate while we're doing it. I tried a different approach today with doing the. I use this open broadcasting software to do my streaming. So you see, I've got the background behind me, and I was able to put together some little text blurbs and put them on the screen. So I thought it was kind of fun to take a different approach with it this week. So, but yeah, I think that's going to be about it for today. Any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, whatever, please leave them in there. If you'd like to talk to me directly about this stuff, you can certainly get in touch with me. Shoot me a message on here, or if you have my work cell, you can certainly call that. But yeah, I hope you're all doing good. Miss you all. Hopefully, life gets back to a little bit more normal soon. But just keep being safe and doing what you need to do, and we're all gonna get through this just fine. Take care, everyone. Bye.